Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Thank you. Happy something. My mind went blank momentarily. But thank you for joining me on this fine Sunday afternoon. I will say that it is kind of stormy outside, so hopefully the Wi-Fi looks good. I think yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. Let's see. Got everything. Good, good. Okay, I realized too that this banner says new EP Winsome, but I actually released that end of last year, like in December. So it's not that new, so I should change it another time. But as per usual, I'm just always so proud of that EP. So, yes. Oh, well, let me put the banner off here. And new setup. If you guys were on my stream that I actually had to take down middle of last week, but my last stream, if you were attending, I told you that I made a purchase, and so I have little bit of a new setup here. So let me just turn on the camera, and we have it here. We got the piano. I have a full length piano keyboard of 88 keys, and I think I turned it on. So I could practice the piano at home, and even better, I can start teaching piano online if so. Very happy about the purchase. Don't ask me to play anything for you yet. I love piano, but I'm not a natural at piano as I would be for violin. If someone said, "Well, for X amount of super chats, play something," I'm like, "Okay, I'll do that on violin." Piano, I'm gonna have to really get my that right headspace, get into that right headspace for playing piano. But I actually this music is, well, some of the music in this book, like 2 pieces out of the 8 pieces, I am practicing. So there is that. Let's go ahead and welcome the chat before we're gonna talk about AI today, but we also will. I might get into just a little bit of copyright, especially with something like YouTube. So we'll see if that works. But yeah, it seems like I'm always talking about AI, but I have a new thing to say about AI. I would never want to repeat myself when it comes to AI, but unless the topic comes up in the discussion in the live stream. But I have something new to say. But before that takes place, let's go ahead and welcome the chat. So yeah, there's my piano. We gotta get that picture higher so you can see the whole picture. And this acts as a music stand, but it closes, which is perfect because I don't really want to always dust or clean the keys. But it's pretty good. I'll do a full review of this product. Um, as it's as it stands, I give it about like a 4 out of 5 stars for different reasons. But the price is right, and especially with what I want to do with piano, I'm very, very happy. And it's just so nice to practice at home. I was just practicing. I was working on something, a potential music project for YouTube into the year, into November, and I was just doing some mindless stuff that just doesn't take a lot of hands on, but the time has to pass. And so while I was waiting for such a project to go through different things, I was just practicing. So it's very nice. It's very nice. But anyway, let's welcome the chat. I will not be late this time. Good. Thank you, Ace. Ghost Planet says, I hate AI. I believe art should be hand drawn by a human, not a computer. Well, let's not confuse AI with digital art, because you can draw by hand on a computer, and that's still art. AI is a little bit different from digital art, just like electronic AI is different from electronic music. All right. Professor Geek says, I'm sick of Big Al thinking he can create art. Yeah. Artists in the owl space. I hate when artists are in my space. LOL. Have a great show, Santa Graver. Thank you. Thank you very much. We've got Private Eye. Welcome. Amy L. Also good to see you. And we've got Scorpio Bio. Thank you. Crystal Ashes says, ahoy, friends. Or friendos. And some people saying... Oh, it looks like Ace has a question for Professor Geek. Professor Geek may be away from the chat because he's practicing bass. So if he doesn't get to you, he's not ignoring you. He's just away from the chat. Ching2x, I think I'm saying that, or Ching two times. I don't I don't know what that is pronounced as. I apologize. Audio is good, good. Dig Outlaw is also in. Thank you so much for being a channel member. Oh, piano. That's right. Yeah, I'm so happy. All right, thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's good. It's a good purchase. I'm gonna do a lot of different things with it, um, and just educational things mostly, and things like harmonic analysis and music fundamentals and all that. What kind is it? It is a Donner keyboard. I think the model number is S300 or Aura S300 OURA. And for the price, it's really, really good. I will say there have been people on YouTube who are pianists or who are piano player YouTubers who say it's like a you know uh, how do they describe it in the description? But to the touch, meaning, oh, it feels like an acoustic grand piano or excellent upright piano. I will say the action, at least on the white keys, is not the same action as you would get on a real piano. And I'm sort of modifying my playing with that. The black keys, however, have actually pretty good action, pretty good resistance. But the key does not come up in a way as an acoustic piano, and that could like the key catches a little bit, and so you have to be careful. But I could still play nicely. So yeah, play jazz. Yeah, yeah. I'm playing classical music. Well, actually, classical music, video game music, uh, film. I don't know. It'd have to be really good. I mean, I think jazz is fine, but yeah. All you need for the jazz is the half step motif, like da, da, like that. That's it. Engraver, do you have free piano lessons? Absolutely not. I do not charge for free. Music education is worth the investment. I don't mean to be so forthright, but I'm 10 plus years of music education experience after higher education in music, and I value myself. I do charge for private lessons. So, and the thing is, you can always get free lessons on YouTube. Like there are all sorts of piano teachers and music fundamental tutorials you can get for free. But for online instruction or in-person instruction, always it's always worth the investment. I don't think music teachers get paid enough for their expertise. I'm sort of feeling that at a certain place right now. Did you guys when you caught my stream Sunday when I was talking about my work? We'll talk about AI soon. Um, I told you that like one of the associates, a longtime associate, left because they upped the starting pay by $3, but she didn't get that boost in pay, and so she's gone. Unfortunately, I miss her. I think Friday was her last day. Um, but then I started to think, I was like, wait a second. The way I'm paid as a music teacher at the store is I get retail pay plus a lesson unit pay. And then you add the two numbers and then I get my hourly pay. Well, I did not get a boost in the retail pay either. So so I feel swindled. It's like, oh well, if starting pay is up $3, I should at least make this much money. Anyway. But yeah, there's Ching2x. There's like YouTube is a platform of so much good free education. Like yeah, I mean we are so lucky to have YouTube for all sorts of different things. And one might ask, well, why are you charging piano lessons or music lessons or violin lessons if I can consult with YouTube? Well, there's a few things. Every teacher is different. Every teacher has a different method, and I do pride on my different methods in music education. That all said, like if people want to look around, they can. But there's something about getting a one-on-one consultation or one-on-one instruction that just betters your experience. For instance, I've got my supercladder lesson And I was thinking like, okay, what I could say, oh, I'm doing fine in Super Collider, but I'm like, I've been in Super Collider for 10 years, not really grasping it, like not really having that good instruction or that good comprehensive understanding of Super Collider. So I started taking lessons. But like when you have dear, oops, I blacked out. One sec. Man, what is that? One sec. Connection is unstable. Yeah, I think I did freeze. Can you let me switch the camera? Can you guys at least hear me okay? We do have thunderstorms, so we might be a little just a little bit freezy, which is unfortunate. Um, one second. Okay. Is that better? I have really low Wi-Fi, so just kind of I'll keep tabs on the chat just to see if we're still. I might even just have to switch to camera for the day. Oh, it's just one glitch. You're good now. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, my wonderful professor and supporter who really did all the assembling of the piano. I thought I could do it myself, but he helped me. I just held stuff in place. He was so good to me Friday. Oh my gosh. He helped. Like it was 1 in the morning we were doing this, assembling the piano frame and stuff. Not the actual keys. The keys came all in one unit. Anyway, but yeah, going back to Super Collider, I had questions that just take an instructor's time to lay out. And I guess you could say I could still practice in Super Collider by myself. I even have videos of me doing demos and demonstrations in Super Collider, but I needed that extra instruction. And I'm happy. This is going to be my eighth or so lesson into the year. So I couldn't be happier. And I am more than fine paying him a fee for the lesson. He deserves it. He's got the experience. So anyway, sorry, that was a I wasn't. Hopefully, I didn't discourage you, Ting. It's just I can't give free lessons. I've got too much experience. Um, Adega Outlaw is here, looking sounding great. Sorry, my tab wasn't reloading properly. I don't know what that means. I don't know why that's not registering. Ace Moic says, I wonder if any people working on AI have read JSTOR's Halls Beyond AI. Probably not, since they, uh, if anyone is being pushed to get work done quicker. Yeah, I'm not. Actually, you did mention that name before. Is that a is that a recent book? Is that a recent release? Fitzjoseph's Corner says, I don't use AI. I use CGI. Many people try to say 3D animation isn't any better than AI. There is a difference. Yeah, there's a difference. Samuel Proctor says, watching The Chosen season 5 finale while listening. It's in the Garden of Gethsemane. That's cool. I'm sure it's a good show. I have no interest. I'm sure it's a beautiful show. I just have no interest myself. Um, but I know it's groundbreaking as far as uh, uh, Christian film adaptations of biblical stories. Trying to resist making a joke about the Black Keys. Yeah. Well, I don't think I'll play the Black Keys, if you know what I mean. I'll play these Black Keys. Yeah. All right. Good, good. Hello, Final Fantasy fan. Okay, so let's talk about AI just for a little bit, because I have a little different approach. And it's actually for artists. It's for artists who are still being artists. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there, whether musicians, songwriters, writers, illustrators. I'm sure there are so many people in the art field, in the art world, that could feel discouraged from pursuing art any further because we are in the age of AI. But I would like to really encourage people, on how to navigate your craftsmanship, how to navigate your pursuit in the arts while the AI is running rampant. And It's going to start with this sentiment, and that is, I've been talking to Professor Geek about this for a little bit, and that is, we don't really trust artists coming into the scene anymore because we've seen, and he's seen, I've seen, especially with musicians and bands and new songwriters and all that, we have seen, and especially with scandals with involving Spotify, we have seen that an AI or a person even behind AI can just generate a band on its own, can generate an album on its own, can generate a persona, can generate all sorts of art and all sorts of profile pics, but then you see that it is AI generated. I mean, it's because people with enough knowledge in the way of technology and with a computer and with the internet, they can make up their own band. And I've been really very seriously looking into artists, especially new artists who are real people. And because there had been recommendations to me saying, "Oh, you should check this person out or check this band out." And I see that they've only released music in the last 2 years. You know, one single at a time or one album at a time. And maybe there's even an official AI video on their channel. And there was one recommendation to me last week by Lance the Film Guy. It's called Sun City, and I was listening to the music. And I was like, oh wow, this is very interesting. I thought the lyrics sounded off, and for a week, I was like, I think this band is AI. I did look into it further because they have shorts of two or three musicians playing on the keyboard or on the saxophone, or guitar. Because they have shorts on their YouTube channel that do showcase real people, unless that's AI generated, but I don't think so. I think they're real people. Because of their shorts on their YouTube channel and on the shorts page, I was starting to believe that this was an AI duo or an AI band with AI vocals, lyrics, and music all around. Now the music actually it's synthwave. It's not even I think Lance the Film Guy presented it as jazz. I don't think it's jazz. I thought it was going to be more jazz, but I think the reason why maybe people might think it's jazz is because there's a soprano saxophone, because soprano saxophone was an 80s instrument. And so I think what was his name? Kenny G, I think made the soprano sax kind of notorious. But I actually think if it's played well and if it's played fairly experimentally, I think it's actually a really nice sounding instrument. Now, all that said is Sun City, I'm a little nebulous. I think they're real people, but unless they do actual commentary or interviews in a real studio space, I'm like, I don't know if I could trust them. I don't know if I could trust them. Um, but I think they are real people. I think Sun City is a band of two or more guys who are pretty talented with that kind of music. The lyrics are a little iffy. Uh, I I just I'm getting a little more suspicious with lyrics. You know, when you're not working with symbolism or you're not working with actually I feel I'm not saying this of Sun City at all, but I maybe there are lyrics AI generated that seem to tell a story or seem to be like a metaphor of sorts, but the semantics and symbolism is lost on the whole narrative of the song. And when you actually listen to AI generated lyrics, you start picking up on those things. It's like, oh, this actually does sound legit. It's rhyming, it's following cadence, it's following meter, it's following phrasing. It sounds pretty decent, but then when you pick up on like, well, actually, there's no symbolism, there's no metaphor, there's no semantics, there's no something that human beings just with talking and reading literature and watching movies and understanding dialogue, like we understand, we could pick up semantics without really even knowing what semantics is. I shouldn't say semantics, I should just say how we express things through words. So Sun City, I would give the verdict. I think they are a band of real people, like two or three musicians. The guy who sings has long red hair, and I was like, oh, okay, oh, blonde red hair. I was like, okay, I think he's legit. But I was suspicious. That's the whole point. I hate that I am suspicious. I really wish that new artists coming into the scene and having the ability to be prolific. I wish there wasn't that barrier. Like, oh, you're showing me you're a new artist. This is nice sounding music, but I hate that I have to research the legitimacy of such a band. And so, where am I going with this? I'm encouraging people who are artists to navigate the AI space. And how can you do that? Because I can't be the only one, and Professor Geek can't be the only one not trusting. We're in a low trust online society, and we have to get our feelers out. We have to just see, okay, are these real people? So Lance is confirming is a real group of people. They did a collaboration with Izzy Perry, who I did look into, and looks like he's a real artist too on the song On My Mind. I think they are classified as retro wave jazz. I don't hear the jazz, but I just hear synthwave and pop. I hear more synthwave pop, but maybe I haven't looked at all their tracks. So Sun City was a very interesting example. I thought, oh yeah, this is cool, and then I'm like, why did the lyrics sound off? And maybe the lyrics are generated by AI. Maybe they're not. I really can't. I can't say for sure. But here's the thing. What does um I think artists now do a real unwittingly. I don't think they're aware of this. I think they do a heavy disservice when it comes to releasing music so frequently, so recently. By that I mean their timeline is like from 2023 to now. Now with someone like Izzy Perry, he's been releasing for the last 5 years, and he reacts. He does like reaction videos, and I think he does shorts. So I can see he's a legitimate guy. And I had to actually, that was one of the confirmations for me to realize, oh, okay, this Sun City trio, it sounds like, okay, they're collaborating with real artists. At the same time, I wish we weren't in that landscape. I wish we weren't so suspicious. I can't be the only one. Like I said before, Prof and I cannot be the only people who are fairly suspicious of new artists. So how do we navigate? So I'm speaking as a musician and as a composer. So for any kind of artist, how do we navigate the AI space? How do we present our art and our music in a legitimate way? I hate that we have to pursue legitimacy. I wish the only thing that made us legitimate was we know how to make art. That's it. Like, we're not mediocre or whatever. We're actually pretty legitimate with our craft. But so what was I saying with that? Let's think how to navigate this space, this AI space, because AI is with us at least for a time, maybe even for a whole generation. I don't think it's going to last long, but for now, it's fairly prevalent. It's everywhere. I don't even want to say prevalent. I think it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. So what do we do as artists? How can we navigate the space? This is where I'm gonna probably off the cuff present a few bullet points. The first, well, I guess we should just start with what the red flags are for AI music or AI art. So with AI music, what can be a real red flag is if someone has an account on Bandcamp or YouTube or any kind of platform, and they have released a lot of singles or a lot of albums monthly, like a single a month. Now, I think that's doable if you are prolific in your skills. But what about an album a month? Or what if you haven't released any music until 2023, really into 2024, end of 2023 into 2024? That's when the AI technology really started catching fire. No, that's not the right phrase. It spread like wildfire. It got really prevalent very quickly. Things like with Midjourney and I forgot the other one. Anyway, anyway, with I think that's really the timeline we have to um grasp. Like, okay, if you haven't released anything before 2024, and now from 2024 on to present day, every month, or maybe a big project every month, you might be a legitimate artist. You may be a legitimate composer and songwriter, but I have that red flag. I can't help it. And so, how do you prove to me that you're a real artist? The best way, I think, honestly, is artists doing what I'm doing right now. You know, showing you my face and my voice and my room and my opinions. And then also doing things like, oh, this is how I'm making this product or project. So I've mentioned him a number of times. Stefan Torto, he's an excellent electronic musician. He's self-taught. I've listened to him for like 8 years now. And he has a great YouTube channel where it's just him and his cat in his music studio. And he's just recording on the fly project after project, and he knows his equipment so well, and he knows his musical style and his composition narrative. He has all these musical sensibilities where he is comfortable giving you a 5-minute demo and releasing it as a video. And because sometimes, in most cases, his videos are him working at his analog instruments or his I forget, I don't actually know what types of equipment he uses. I feel bad because I just don't work in that electronic music space. But Stefan Torto, if you just look him up, you'll know what I mean. Most of his videos, sometimes it's the camera is down, face down, so you just see his hands on the analog. I wish I knew what he works with, because it has a name. Like, he has a few units that are quite popular, but you'll see his hands working. Maybe you see his cat, maybe just at the edge of the picture frame, or maybe it pans out. Maybe his video is panning a little further behind him, and he has his cat on his desk or on his chair, just enjoying the music. And you can see him record his music in Logic as almost as a mastered track. Maybe it is already mastered, or maybe that's his full mix, and then he masters it and then he releases it on his website or Bandcamp. When you see that, and now I think he's doing very short instruction tutorials where you see his face. Like, I know what his face is, I know what his voice sounds like, I know where he's from, I know I can see different musicians collaborating with him. Wonderful music videos, like of him and another musician who plays. I don't even know what it's called, actually. It's a type of world instrument, like maybe it is from Greece because that's where he's from, and it's like a vertical violin. Like, he kind of just does the violin technique and the bowing, but it's vertical. It's not horizontal to the floor. But that all said, he's a legitimate artist, and he's very prolific because he's just got his workflow. He has it down pat, and I wish I had his workflow. It will take me a good few years just to get that consistent workflow down, because I'm always exploring, I'm always learning, and I'm hopelessly eclectic with my electronic music. But someone like Stefan Torto, he's an artist I can trust. I know he's a real person. And actually, let me just go ahead and share another one. This guy, a new guy that came into the feed in YouTube a couple months back. Let me see if I can share it real quick. I think I'll leave off the audio because I got into a little. I don't want to share audio of another musician, but I would check out his channel. In fact, I'll probably copy his link. So let's see. Do you see that? Yeah, there you go. So this guy, his name is Cotton Joy, and here's the thing. He's this guy. I don't know where he's based, but you can see he works in analog. He works in all sorts of modular synths, and his YouTube channel is just all about. There are a few things. Most, I think, are pre-recorded, but what he does, which I would love to do with Super Collider one day. What he does is eventually, oh, what does he do? I just lost my train of thought. He does more or less live performances of this modular synth studio. So he'll play the keys. Sometimes when he's done with the synths, he'll switch to guitar and play a melody or some sort of freestyle over the synths. And he'll do like 90 minutes of that, or maybe even 12 minutes of that, depending on the length. And the reason why he's so prolific is he records his live performances. So I guess this is one Sunglider, and he releases quite a bit of music. He's released several albums in the span of 2 years. Why I think he's legitimate is that he has these videos of him just performing. I don't have the sound on for the screen share. But his name is, oh, I didn't even say his name. Cotton Joy. Caught in Joy. And so his singles and his albums are his recorded live performance. And maybe there's no audience, but he's performing, I think he's performing on the fly. So when you have a really good workflow and a recording base, you can record your performance in real time, and you could do that once a day, like 90 minutes of playing once a day, every day, like six or, so days a week. That makes sense. Let me see his, I think this is yeah. So you can see he has a lot of, whether albums or singles. I do appreciate a lot of the art. Part of me is like, I hope it's not AI. But maybe he has, actually, you know what? Let me see something. Like an art piece like this, I think has the name of the artist down here. Let me see. Oh, usually they would have. Usually they would have the name of the artist somewhere in this. So depending, maybe I don't know. So, but anyway, my point is he records himself all the time, and then he puts it in a single track or puts it in an album. In fact, actually, I'll stop sharing. Based in Florida. Okay. So that's Cotton Joy. You know what I would say? Let's see. Okay, so this is an album. So you can see he has 21 tracks. Here's what I'm going to say with that. At least from the projects that I've heard of his, it's one mono track, or I shouldn't say mono track, but it's one giant track that he cuts up in different tracks, because it goes from one idea transitioning into another. So that's how he can establish an album like that. So it's not just a single track. He can actually just chop it up. I really wish he had a nice fade between tracks, because I really like his style, but he does he goes, the few albums I have heard him, he goes between tracks and it clips at the end of the track. I was like, oh no. But I guess it's because it's one performance. So anyway, that's Cotton Joy. And so you can be prolific if you had the right workflow, your equipment, you live perform, because Stefan Torto performs. He's pretty much performing for the YouTube video, and then he compiles it into an album or into a single. And that's how he works. He's got his workflow, And so you can be prolific as a legitimate artist. If you know your craft, you know your style, you got your performance, you got your equipment, you got the whole enchilada as far as setting up. And I would hope to do that one day with something like Superglider. I think that would take a few years just to get down. But something like with piano, with Superglider, like right in front of me, with my violin on a stand, it's in the case right now. So different things like that. Anyway, that helps me see that the artist is real. So the artist, again, before I get too redundant, the artist can be prolific, but I have to see that they have an online presence. That I at least have to see their face. Maybe they don't talk. Maybe these people don't talk or share their opinions, or maybe they don't do a live demo with an explanation. Although that would be nice. That would really just further certify them as a real person. But at least let me see them perform. There are a lot of YouTube music channels that I follow who that they're different instrumentalists, and no, they don't talk. They don't express their thoughts on music, or they don't express their opinions, but they always do performance videos, whether it's a beautifully done cinematic video or they're in a club with other musicians playing. Okay, cool. That's legitimate. Maybe you can see them on going on a tour, for the year. Like, oh, okay, they're actually going to different places. Although probably AI can do that too. Like, hey, I have a tour too. So anyway, think I think that's what I wanted to say, just to summarize before I get into the chat. That's how we navigate the AI space as artists. We present legitimacy with our face, with our voice, with our performing, with our with writing. That's I guess we could talk about that too. But whatever your medium is, or whatever kind of work you do, whatever kind of craftsmanship you are cultivating, show it. Show the process. Show document your process. Document what you're thinking here, what's inspired you here, who have been your influences, who have been who in the past or presently have inspired you, and work from that. So I think it was Crystal Ashes who made this, who said this last week, is to, oh no, I think Crystal Ashes says journal your thoughts and inspirations, which I think is important too. So a type of make yourself a kind of archivist. Archive your art, archive your workflow. Present always this ticket of certification that, oh, I can play this instrument, I can compose, I can show you what I need to do, or what I'm working with in this project. And there's that. So archive your process. I think that's the thing. With writing, okay, I'm going to say with writing for me is different than music. And here's what I mean. I think, if I remember correctly, I think David Stewart talked about this with AI, in relation to AI. I think at one point in one of his streams, he's been doing live writing streams. And I think at one point he mentioned his live writing streams is that certificate, to validate, this is my work. These are my words. I'm presenting these words to you in real time. And that is his choice. I think that's fine. For me, writing, I don't think I could ever write live. I think I just have to tell you what my stories are about, and I can go deep dive analysis what my stories are about. I can give you really good commentary with what my stories are about. But to write live, to write in the public setting, is way more intimate than presenting a piece of music to you. I think with music, you can experiment, you can make mistakes, but writing is, I think it's on a deeper level than music. I feel weird saying that because music is my first art form. But I think there's something incredibly, like, what you are presenting in words comes from the constitution and private institution that is your mind, that is your flow of consciousness. And that there's something vulnerable to that is way more sensitive, at least to me, than playing my violin, or making mistakes on the piano, or making mistakes in Super Glider. So some writers might take on the method of writing live. So the viewers and the potential readership can say, oh yeah, he's writing these words in real time. He's written 1,000 words on the live stream. Wow, that's so cool. To me, I'm just gonna have to take that chance of you not trusting that those are my words, because writing words is deeply intimate, and I can't express it in any other way. There's a shield you have with music, with instrument playing, with composing, with experimenting. There's no shield when it comes to words. There's no shield when it comes to writing. So there we go. But if you are a writer and you like that idea, I'm like, oh yeah, I will write live. I think I'm not going to dissuade you from that. I just personally would not do that myself. All right, I'm going to go into the chat and then I'm going to grab some water real quick. Uh, and then if I think of any more ideas, I didn't really bullet point these ideas. Maybe I should have, but there you go. And then we'll probably talk a little copyright if I remember, but we can still talk about AI. All right, one second. All right. So, so audio looks like audio is cutting out again. Yeah, it could. I might just have bad audio because of the thunderstorms. Oh well. All right. Yeah, I agree with Ghost Planet. I do not like the AI overview for search engines. Yeah. How do you prove you're a legitimate artist? How do you prove? Oh, you're a member. Of course, Crystal Ashes. How do you prove? How do you prove you are a legitimate artist? Check the I am not a robot box. So strange now. Amy L says Google AI is a lot more than the overview. Every time they make you do a CAPTCHA or 10 CAPTCHAs in a row, it's AI. I don't know what a CAPTCHA is. Sorry. Hey, maybe you can explain what that is. Probably should know what that is. Lance talking to Crystal Ashes about a book called Fall Again. While my editor chose an AI cover of a girl and a boy on a beach, I wrote the story from scratch. Yeah, we talked about this before. I think, people will say, well, is, are you against all AI? Well, first of all, if the AI, I still don't really like it. I still want the human to do it, but the human being to do it. But like if AI can find cancer so much faster than a doctor, and that doctor needs the AI interface to say, "Oh, I got this X-ray, I've got this scan. We need to hunt for cancer," and then the AI spots it way faster than the human being can spot it. I mean, there's an exception. That's one exception. I think the other exception too. It's not my favorite, but I know people who write books will do AI for book covers. I choose to pay an artist. And my reason for that is, because I want to pay an artist. That's just what I want to do. Like I'm paying for Super Collider lessons. That's just it's just a token of appreciation for someone's specialty. And the thing is with the AI book covers, yes, it is true. You can get a book cover designer who is a human being, and they fall into this formulaic thing that makes your book cover look like 1,000 other book covers. So yeah, okay, there's a pitfall there. I understand that. But I do believe that even if you eventually, I'm not saying right now, maybe even not even 5 years or 10 years from now, but eventually, if people choose to do AI for things like book covers, I think there will be a homogeneity. I think AI book covers, no matter how far you can go with your different ideas, I think they will be the same. I think people will pick up, oh, that kind of looks like this book. So, and of course you can run into the risk of your artist that you're paying not being forward with you saying, "Oh no, I am doing AI art." So there's always that. But if you're a writer, an AI book cover is not the same as an AI written book if you are a writer. So if you want to do an AI book cover, here's the thing with writing. Definitely no AI for writing. And I will say definitely no, I promise you, no AI for editing. Editing. Why do I feel like I'm saying that word wrong every time? Um, you got to get a human editor for that or edit yourself. Learn how to edit yourself. And then get a second pair of eyes for your book. But as far as like promotion, like AI music if you have to, like because you're not a musician. But I would not just always say get a composer for that. But you know what I mean. So whatever your medium is, don't rely on AI. But if you're not a visual artist, you're just a writer. They're I guess people I can be a little bit more lenient when it comes to that. But just my general view is just pay an artist. Like it's worth paying an artist. I think you're serving humanity so much better when you actually pay another artist. Um, all right. Auto dubbing on YouTube when they can't even get their transcripts right. Yeah. Emil, that's kind of a common comment I see with that, and I think it's important. Yeah. Samuel Proctor says, Google search has already gone downhill for the past decade, even before AI. No one's disagreeing with that. They prioritize ads and Wikipedia compared to 15 years ago and before, when the internet was more free and independent. Yeah, everything is just bogged down. Yeah, I would say so. Amiel says the problem is for some languages, Google search is really the only option. Yikes. Okay, so the DuckDuckGo does not work for Japanese or Chinese. I'm not surprised about the Chinese, but that's interesting about Japanese. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But I'm not an expert when it comes to something like that. I don't know what's available in different parts of the world. All right. Yes, Chris Lash is saying, I mentioned keeping a journal of sorts. Yep. I think Adega Alwa, I think you mentioned something about Kenny G. I'm sorry I missed that. But you say it's been 35 years since I played my gig on my sax. I missed the stage. Have you played saxophone or are you talking about Kenny G? Um, yeah, I kind of wish Kenny G didn't have the notorious reputation he has because I think a lot of people say, "Oh, I hate soprano saxophone." I'm like, I've heard it done really well. It's actually can be a pretty beautiful instrument, but like everyone will think of Kenny G when they hear soprano saxophone. It's not my favorite saxophone. I mean, I like Barry sax. I like baritone sax. I think the baritone sax is a beautiful, reedy sounding instrument. Well, because it has a reed. Samuel Proctor says, I've been helping out with a local student film last week. One of the last things they shot yesterday was the opening credits, a vintage music box the director bought in the night before. That's cool. That's cool. Adiga Outlaw says, I used to write flash fiction in uh I don't know who that is or what that is. It looks like Colorado, but then AG, Attorney General. Colorado Attorney General. I don't know what that is. Sorry. It was fun, but I'm glad it was fun. Yes, yeah. Prof makes a really good point. Writing is thinking. To whatever extent a so-called writer uses AI is the extent that they've stopped thinking. Yes, and I think that actually bolsters my point of that's why I don't write in public. I'll never do live streams or live video of me writing on a white page. No matter how much I think I have the idea down, there's just something so personal about just thinking and being in your own private space. Like no one knows what you're thinking. And people might ask, well, does that mean you have dark thoughts? I'm like, no, it's not that. It's just, you know, can you imagine if people, I mean, watch the technologies kind of getting to that point where people are like, oh, don't you want like a chip in your brain and with these glasses and stuff that you could just think out loud or think what to do next without actually like it's weird. It's like don't mess with your thinking. Like yeah, so I think people are losing the capacity to think. Well, especially the capacity to think deeply. But now it's like, why aren't people just thinking in general? RJ, a couple of videos ago, or yeah, like a couple weeks ago, RJ made this kind of sad. I didn't know this existed. video. He's not an expert on this, but he's kind of delving into more of the psychology and the personality or different disorders that people may have when it comes to people writing stories in today's modern world. And he touched on I don't know what it's called, but I think it's called aphantasia. The inability to see pictures in your mind or the inability to have an inner voice. And I think that's personally tragic. Now, if any of you have something like that, I don't want to, be insensitive to that, but I was like, oh my gosh. So that would cause people the inability to think, where they really would have to record their thoughts out loud. They'd have to vocalize their thoughts. Uh, and I just can't even imagine being in that position. Oh, Amiel confirms, a CAPTCHA is those, oh, the puzzles they force you to solve to prove you're not. Isn't that kind of ironic? Like, Google and all these major Silicon Valley places all over the world, they're so trying to prove that you are not a robot, that you are human, and yet they've got Gemini and stuff. It's like, well, don't you worry about me. I'm fine. You know what I look like. You know what I sound like. Yeah, that's right. Those puzzles. Yeah. Yep. The most pathetic AI. AI punk music. Anyone can play it. Why have a machine do it? It takes away the fun of playing. Oh, you were a pro alto saxophone. Okay. Oh, sweet. So he's the music guy who makes the music for your videos. Well, I've heard of that. I have heard of that electronic music, and I think it's legit. Good. See, that's oh, let me just bring that up. I think Adega Outlaw has the right idea. He's collaborating with a musician, an electronic musician, to help his stories. And I just really wish people, even with good intentions, would even people I respect, they'll do all the writing and stuff, but then they'll get AI to do their trailers or some sort of animation for a promo, and I'm like, oh my, why can't you just get an animator? Just save a few dollars. I know. I mean, honestly, guys, if I know this platform gets a lot of flack. I understand, but just kind of hunt around Fiverr and find a little, just find something that's like, oh, I think I could work with this. And you'd be surprised. Some of the artists who are artists, they say, I'll do this for a fraction of what most people charge. And I don't really agree with artists um, lowering their pay rate. I like if they do have a flat rate, if they do feel like they have the expertise, they should be honest about their pay. Lance the Film Guy says, I personally want to use a real art cover for my book. However, she chose the other option. That being said, the cover itself looks good. Yeah, I would just say, yeah, as long as it's not affecting your writing. Um, and then Lance the Film Guy also says, but I will keep that in mind in my future stories. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not. Here's what I'm going to say. The art cover, well, the first guy that I hired was kind of expensive, and I end up not using that cover. And I kind of want to keep the picture just in case I need to use the cover. But I was like, and Prof liked the book cover, and my mom liked the book cover, and I paid a pretty penny to get it, and I'm like, I just don't like the font looked great. It just didn't have the right feel for my story. Secondhand Sunset. And even the book cover that I have on Amazon, I think it's much better, but I still think like it wasn't quite what I wanted, but it was a fraction of the price. And the reason why I hired that guy for the book cover, not just because the price was really good, but I love the way he did his fonts. Like if you look at Secondhand Sunset with Amazon, the image I'm kind of 50-50 on. Like I'm not disappointed. I'm just not like uber satisfied. But I like the font. I like how he did the title. And I'm fine with that. Yeah. Hey Prof, just can you just put in a word that I'm not freezing? Because I I don't want to be continuing to freeze. Samuel Proctor says, goes to show how much my education did for me. Despite having my English credits far outnumber all my other credits, I still struggle with writing. This editing phase has been rough. I tell you, writing, no matter how long you've done it, is difficult. Is difficult. I wanted to talk to you. Okay, so this might, this may be a little sidebar, but let's talk about writing real quick. And that like no matter how tempted you are to get an AI editor, please don't. Because editing, self-editing and then giving it to someone you trust is super important. But this might be a sidebar real quick. Mm, I do hear thunder. So we'll see how yeah, so if it gets well, let me go ahead and if it is glitching, let me know if my audio is glitching. Prof is probably just practicing bass and not paying attention. But let me switch to video just for until I hear the thunder go away. Oh, I hear my prof now. Let's see. Let's see what he says.
Your audio glitched just for a second, but you're good overall.
I am good overall. Cool. Thank you. Thank you, love. Okay, good. No, we'll keep the camera on. So, let's talk about writing for a second. And I feel weird about talking about writing right now because I was so focused on getting this piano, and I've been really focused on thinking about music education and what I want to do with my music. This last week, I was really just in music and not even my creative stuff. I was in Super Collider because I have a lesson tomorrow. But I wasn't reading, I wasn't playing Zelda, I wasn't writing. It was a weird week. It was a good week, it was a full week, but it was a weird week because the piano was the thing on my mind. Now, I'm gonna get back to writing this next week, and I'm glad to be doing that. But let me talk about editing real quick. And I think I had a spur of the moment writing inspiration before I went to work one day. This was last week. Usually my writing is way late into the night when I'm done with my music, I'm done with my teaching. Everyone's in bed and all that. But one day I had an extra hour before I had to go to work to teach. And I was really inspired to get a writing idea down, like a scene down. And within 1 hour, I wrote like 300 words before I went to work. And then I went back out to get ready. I was making coffee, I was preparing lunch or whatever to take with me. And then I thought, wait, that's not going to be the right narrative. That's not going to be the right thing that my protagonist is thinking. She wouldn't be like what was the example? She was being too perceptive on something when she really needed to be obsessed with something. She's at a point in the story, and I need to make it as clear as day, where she's not realizing, or maybe she's slightly realizing she's getting to be too obsessed with a certain thing, a certain goal. And it needs at this point in the story to just kind of cloud all surrounding environment for her. She's like, I gotta get this math right. I gotta get this task down. I gotta make it to the end of my probation so I can get this permanent position. Uh, and I mean, on the surface, it sounds kind of boring, but I have made it very interesting. And so anyway, she's becoming quite obsessed with getting something. And I was writing out this scene because at least one other character, but I need to make it two. Definitely two characters, but maybe just one character. One character is interacting with her in the scene before, where, and we're in this other character's perspective, where she's seeing my main character, my main protagonist. She's getting a little scared. She's a little she's a little concerned. She's a little concerned over her well-being, but she's also kind of thinking, I think she might be going crazy. I think my main character's going crazy. That's how the other character's perceiving it. And shifting back into the perspective of my main character, at first I laid out a scene, 300 words, a little bit more, where I was trying to write that my main character was being perceptive, like, oh, I think this other girl, I think she thinks I'm going crazy, but I'm not, like, at this point, my main character should not even be aware of body language or a look of concern on another character because she's actually just become so focused with something. And then I right before I went to work, I scratched like 150 or 200 of those 300 words. What's my point? Well, it could have been a waste of time. People say, that's a waste of time. You wrote 300 words and then you deleted the last 200, or the last half of that. And I, at first I thought, oh, what a waste of time. I spent a whole hour, scrapping that part of the scene. And then I realized, no, I'm editing myself. I'm thinking that's not the line of logic I need to have with my character. She should not be so perceptive of other people's concern or body language when she's becoming too obsessed with something. Like her obsession is clouding her awareness of the environment or the awareness of people around her. Something is driving her to not insanity, but she's not thinking about other things presently. She will when things start falling into place. But my whole point is that's what editing. Can I ever say this word? That is what editing does. It allows you to move through a scene, write out a scene, and then backtrack and thinking, actually, no, my character wouldn't think like that. That's what happens when you always write and you always edit. Prof and I, we write, we edit, we write, and we go back to edit. We write and da 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 da. We're slow writers because of that. Well, he's not that slow. I'm not that slow either, but like people are like, just write out the scene, write out the book. I'm like, there's no way I could write a novel from start to finish without editing because I would forget stuff. I would forget the logical flow of things, So that all said, that was a little bit of a sidebar, but that's why like AI can't help you with that. There's just no way. You're actually progressing in your own line of logic with your story. And because of that, you're making your story amazing. Now, actually, one sec, guys. I need to open the door because I'm getting a little toasty in here. All right. So there's that. Yeah, that feels much better. I actually probably should leave the door open anyway because it could get a little humid in here, and piano and humidity, they don't go together. I need to get a dehumidifier, maybe a little small unit for my little music studio. But anyway, let's continue on down. Yeah, editing. So, Samuel Proctor, you mentioned the editing phase can be really tough, and it is. It is, but you start understanding your story so much better because of it. You start seeing things like, oh wait, that wouldn't happen. If such a character is thinking this, then this wouldn't happen. You're in this constant flow of conditional logic. Like you're always thinking logically when you're in that mode. So there you go. Amy L says the thing about Japanese and Chinese and Korean is they don't use spaces to separate words. I think this is what's confusing other search engines. Interesting. Samuel Proctor says, I've highlighted all the parts of my story I want to change. But when I get to it, my thoughts are almost blank. You know what? I started doing that too, Samuel Proctor. I started commenting. Like, I'll write a scene or I'll finish a chapter. And then, or maybe not even finish a chapter. Maybe I'm just in the thick of writing a scene. And I have like a paragraph and then like there's a sentence that I just cannot express that well. I'll highlight that in red, or I'll just put a comment next to it, say, write this better. and then continue on. So yeah, it's hard, but I think your method of highlighting the different parts of your story is good. What I would avoid though is just don't highlight. You ever? I've seen this as a Christian. I've seen like people highlight their Bibles and like the whole page is highlighted. Is like, What's what's the difference between a Bible with just no highlights or a page and then all highlights? I've been very careful with not with Bibles, but with printed on paper highlighting. Highlighting is really just supposed to be like one or two things at a time. Uh, Crystal Ashes says, out of curiosity, what did you have in mind for the cover for Secondhand Sunset? Secondhand as one word. Um, I wanted more of a City of Tomorrow look. Like I had mausoleums and great architecture. I kind of pictured a little bit more Greek mythos, but in a sci-fi setting. And I'm sure that's a little hard to render. Now, I mentioned things also like cathedrals, and things like that. And I thought the last rendition, while fine, it does look a little. I didn't want it futuristic. That I didn't want. But I wanted a little bit more like sculpture, architecture, which I can't imagine is easy to do for a book cover. So, maybe I can experiment with the different artists. But here's the thing: when you're publishing short stories, I've learned not to be too particular about the cover. Yeah, you want to convey with an image what you're trying to present with the story, but my investment in the future will be is paperbacks and hardcovers. That I would take a lot of time, investment, and money getting that right. But when you're just presenting like it's kind of like a blurb. Well, no, blurbs should be written well. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like a stamp. Like, oh, this is conveying this story here. Samuel Proctor says, I have this feeling that I may have forgotten a lot of the basic rules of English writing that I've learned in elementary school. Well, my recommendation is just to keep writing. And don't be afraid of using the colloquial with your fiction writing, or no, I don't want to say colloquial, but casual conversation with your writing. Even in the narrative, even prose where there is no dialogue. Um, you can them with Microsoft and with other platforms where they're like, "Oh, don't you mean to say this in a formal way?" I'm like, "No, especially not in this character's perspective." So I would just gauge with that saying, "No, I did mean to write it in this way, even if like there's an error." And I usually select the option stop checking for this. This is how I wanted to write. So don't be discouraged. There's a lot of people or a lot of platforms that will say, no, don't you want to present this in a better way? I'm like, I'm not writing a professional email. I'm writing a book with like someone's like 11-year-old perspective, to put an arbitrary number out there. Amy L says there are different kinds of editing. What you're talking about is what we call structural or developmental editing, at least here in Canada. No, actually, Professor Geek, that's his specialty. That's his. Most AI editing is, I think, copy editing. I wouldn't agree with that. I think people look for AI to do the development. I'm not saying it can do it well. Maybe it can. I don't think it can. But even copy editing, I was like, come on, like look for that yourself, or look for that for like get a family member saying, hey, can you just like Big Al, for instance, is amazing at that. Like Prof does the developmental side of editing. Big Al, proofreading, he's really good at proofreading. He's really good at like, oh, you said it this way and I think you mean this way, but here's a way how I would put it. And I'm like, and I think for Secondhand Sunset, I took like a good 40 to 50% of how he's like, oh, I would have said it this way. I'm like, yeah, I like that. So that kind of editing, I would still get a person. So I wouldn't go to Big Al for developmental stuff. I would go to Professor Geek for that. But for catching commas or spaces or how someone is phrasing it this way, That's that like that's Big Al's forte. He's really good about that kind of stuff. Lance, the film guy, says my laptop had an editing software that corrected my grammar. I just hope it sounds right when it's officially released. Bro, be very careful about that. If I could just say, here's what Professor Geek recommends: read your works out loud. Always read your works out loud. You know, I run into the trouble, not often, but I've caught myself say like the same word in a matter of 4 or 5 lines. Now, maybe there's a little bit of flow or musicality to that if you're writing a piece of poetry, or if you have a character who is kind of like that. Uh, if you're intentional about repeating words, then that's one thing. But in a lot of cases, I'm like, I've said this word twice, and it's because you're in the mood. You're like, oh yeah, I want to say that word, and then I'm like, oh, I've said that word what 3 times in 2 paragraphs. So, read your stuff out loud. Read your stuff out loud all the everything. But especially with dialogue. You know, like your character, like, would he talk like this? Would she say it this way? It's like based on their personality or who they are. You know, I have a character who has a more formal internal dialogue because he's an executive, and he's a man of science. I have another character who is a younger man of science, but he's a little bit more casual in his internal dialogue and his dialogue. I've got a sweet receptionist who has a gentle spirit, and her dialogue is going to be different. You know, I have all these people who are different, and the way I voice the narrative in their perspective should be different from my main character. And with that, yeah, sure, you can go too formal, even with an executive, or an older man. This person I'm talking about is in his 60s, you know, so he might have a little bit more formal conduct. Maybe not. Like that could be he could have a 60-year-old man in a trailer home. You know, he's not gonna have the same formal dialogue. You know, it depends on the situation. You know, it depends on the station of the person or the status of the person. But all that to say is read your stuff out loud. You know, like sometimes I'll read an article. Sometimes I remember I was reading Secondhand Sunset, the little would you call it a blurb? It's just to show you what it's about. And I was having a hard time reading it out loud. Maybe because I'm on the stream. Yeah. Okay, so Amiel says, I've heard people say when their clients hand them manuscripts that have been AI copy edited, they had to undo all the errors introduced by AI. You mean the AI made the errors? Yeah, the AI is not going to pick up on language like a human being picks up on language. It's just not. No matter how comprehensive it's going to be. Let's see. Sorry, I think the humidity is kind of sticking, causing the hair to stick to my clothes and stuff. Let's see. Amiel. Oh, I think I just read that. That was a while ago, you say. Not sure how true that is still. Okay, so Samuel Proctor says, oh, I'm going to have so much fun with my cover. It helps also being a visual artist as well. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's set in ancient Rome, so I got some legit handcrafted papyri and carbon ink and reed pens from Etsy. Oh, that sounds amazing. So you're actually working with the medium of that time. Oh, cool. Those are the tools. Oh, yeah, those are the tools I'm going to use for that cover. I'm so excited about that. That sounds like a great idea. That sounds like a really good idea. The Control H tool has been great for catching repeated words for me. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, there are little shortcuts. That's for sure. Yeah. So Lance also wishing you the best on that. That project does sound cool. You know, I mean, I don't. Samuel Proctor, as you start investing in your craftsmanship, and I say this to anyone, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. I would really consider, unless you have something like Instagram or some other platform, social media platform, I really would start a YouTube channel. I really would just start basic process. Oh, this is what I'm doing. This is the medium I'm working with. This is what my story is about. You don't have to have it. You don't have to be a personal commentator on different things. You don't have to be topical. You don't. It's just YouTube, if anything, is a way to archive your process. Whether it's the process of your thinking, what you think about in a certain time in your life, or archive the process of what you've been doing. You know, and I would, and I'm not even saying that, oh, you should do that to get subs or get monetized or become a YouTuber. No, no, just treat YouTube as just a collage and a set of really just treat it as a thing of archives, archiving your process as you go. And yeah, you can get people change or off-putting, or they want to say, oh well, you're not really doing it this way, or you're not doing this way very well, or, you can run into that, and that's unfortunate. But um I do really, I kind of went away from it for a couple of years. I thought I was going to do my process all the time, whether in Logic Pro or in SuperCollider, and I stopped doing that a few years ago because I thought, no one's interested in that. And it's true. I don't think people are really interested in that. I think that I do have some ground with SuperCollider. I think people find SuperCollider really interesting for good reason. It's a very interesting platform. But I think I need to go back to archiving my process and not being worried about, well, maybe we'll talk about copyright in a second. I don't have a lot to talk about, but just archiving your process and your thoughts and showing people, hey, yes, I'm a legitimate writer. I'm a legitimate visual artist. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Prof. Tune in to Cassette Hiss. Prof has wonderful videos for Cassette Hiss. He does talk about his process, thinking in terms of being a musician, who his inspirations have been, what the process might be, excuse me, with gigging with other musicians in the future. So yeah, check out Cassette Hiss. Um, Ace Moak says, the hassle is creative people want to create instead of having to learn how to chronicle their process and promote their work online. Yeah, we see two sides of yes, we do what you say. One side is creators just want to be big and creative, and I get it. Like, like I just want to write or I just want to compose. I think promotion does just take a little bit of know-how, and it takes consistency for sure. And I do feel the pressure. Like I talk and I'm like, guys, I'm working on my writing and I'm working on my music, and dang, it takes time. It takes way longer than I would admit to you and to myself. It's like, oh man, I thought I'd be done with this by now. And it just takes a long time. That's the joy and sorrow of creating. It's like you have the joy when you're in the work. I love working in whatever it is, writing, music, whatever it is. I love the work. But then I get that sorrow of like, oh, I haven't presented anything yet. Oh, I have my website. It's true. I have my music. But I have so many things I want to share, and you could feel overwhelmed when you realize, like, if you've been working at it for 6, 7, 8 years, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have all this stuff to present. If you dwell on it, it can be overwhelming, and you just got to back off and say, nope, it's gonna come out when it comes out. Life happens. Busy family, people have jobs. It's just life happens. You just gotta keep your head down and just get to work and hope you get finish soon. Yeah. All right. I think Samuel's talking to Professor. to the professor. Ace is talking about promoting involves a degree. Oh, I mentioned one side. Okay, there's the other side. Maybe you're bringing this up. Promoting involves a degree of being a hype man or a BS artist in some cases. Okay, that kind of presents the other side. So we were talking about the one side where like the creators, they just want to create. They just want to be in their own little bubble, write, do art, make music. I'm in that camp for sure, and you always have to kind of think about your online presence a little bit more. Like I have just not been good with YouTube, and I accept that, at least in the last couple years. Then there's the other side who are all about marketing, all about the business, and they're not really serious about the art. And maybe we've seen a couple of, certain people in the online space where it's like, yeah, it's all about making money. It's all about sticking it to the Writers Guild or whatever. It's all about sticking it to Hollywood. It's like, no, just make your, just, make the, okay, here's this, but when people are saying native, oh, oops, there goes the, connection is unstable. Let me get the camera there. I think I'm back, but I did lose. See, what happens on my side is I see like a blank black page, and so I feel like I get disconnected. But yeah, I think we're back. So so we're talking about one side of the coin. It's not really coin, but one side of the spectrum where it's all creative. They don't want to bother with marketing. They don't want to bother with business. They just want to bother with their art. I'm in that camp. Yeah, I want to make it a business. It doesn't have to be a business, but if you want to market yourself, you kind of have to think of it like a business. And then there's the other side. The other side of the fence where it's like, it's all about money making. It's all about business. And I'll try to give you some advice on how to make your art a business. And some people are legit when they give really good advice, really good artistic advice. But then there's a side to it where it's like where I have heard people just not enjoy writing. It's like, but I'm writing and you don't enjoy writing? Yeah, writing is tough. Writing is very hard. But it's like you gotta like writing. I've seen people in certain streams, in certain chats, who say, I think I like myself as being seen as the author or the writer, but I actually don't like writing. And it's like, then you really should do something else with your life. Because writing is already hard even when you like it. It is extremely difficult even when you like it. So why would you put yourself through all that extreme difficulty if you didn't like it? Find something else to do. Find something else to do. Sam Proctor says writing is like bleeding on the page. Yeah, I think of it more as like a brain workout. Like sometimes you just get really, it's like a workout. It's just a cerebral workout. But yeah, there are a lot of people who, as Ace points out, there are a lot of people who are just about the selling. They're just about the marketing. And I'm like, are you for your art? Or are you just jazzed about how much a certain thing is on Amazon, So there is that. Crystal Ashes says, oh, I know what that's like. I hate the feeling that you have nothing to present. It's like you've done nothing productive for a long time. Yeah, that's the thing, Crystal Ashes, is you guys can't see it because I haven't released anything since Azure. But I have been productive. Now, it is true. One reason why my composing has slowed down a little bit is because I've been knee deep in Super Collider. I've been trying to get better in Super Collider. I'm taking Super Collider lessons. So most of my practice in music is actually it's been more in Super Collider. And eventually I want to make videos for Super Collider again. But now I'm still good, guys, to stream a little bit more, but I actually have to use the restroom. So I'm going to put myself away. And let me put on some music. Don't go anywhere. I'm coming back. But I'd like to do a little bit of copyright topics too, because that in in conjunction with this catastrophe that is AI is just it's stuff to think about. So wait 1 minute. I will be right back. All right, I'm back. I meant to take this banner down. One sec. All right, there you go. Okay, thanks. Appreciate that. So let me see. I think we had a couple more comments. I don't really have too much to talk about in the way of copyright. I just noticed a few things that people are getting really upset about, and rightfully so, when it comes to copyright. So, oh, I meant to. I guess I could keep that door closed. Closed. But yeah, I kind of wanted to go into the copyright. So, we artists, man. Here's again, like every time I talk about AI, I always want to approach it with something different. So this stream was navigating through the AI space and what you can do and to prove your legitimacy as a real person, as a real artist. And that's one thing. We so artists are struggling in this world with the AI dominating the space. But I think also what has been a problem, and this has been a problem for actually probably a number of years on this wonderful platform that we call YouTube. And that is the issue of copyright. Now, I do want to talk about copyright in with regards to being an artist and also just being a music educator, because I think it's just music education is so important. And if you're an artist, that is also important if you want to educate different people about different things in the way of art, in the way of literature, songwriting, poetry, music. We should have a platform that supports the edification of humanity. Now, granted, this wonderful platform is, out of Silicon Valley, so I can't expect too much. But with there's been a lot of copyright issues lately, especially for music channels. So actually, last stream I did this country song mashup that I didn't get a strike, which was great. But I did get acclaim, and I wasn't monetizing my stream. I decided not to monetize my stream, so you can actually see a whole stream, hopefully with no commercials, because it's not monetized. I should check every time, but you should just see the live stream without ads, because I'm like, I don't really need to make money off of my streams. So, and that's not to say you can't super chat me or give me memberships, because the super chats will go through and the memberships will go through. Not that you have to do that. But as far as ad revenue, I've not decided. I've decided to keep that unchecked, so my video can't be monetized. Well, last stream with the fun thing we did with the country song mashup, I got dinged for that as a copyright claim. Now I'm like, no big deal. I'm not making money off of anything, and maybe they make money. Maybe there are ads and they can make money. That's fine, as long as it doesn't hurt my channel. And then I realized the views were getting squashed. Like I was at one number, which actually was comparably low to my other streams. And then like it went down in an hour, it went down like by 25. I was like, I can't see views go down like by 1 or 2, but 25. And then my other videos were not getting their normal views. I'm like, does name? Is this a way to disincentivize me from keeping the stream up? I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to thwart the viewership of my other videos. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I just won't do stuff like that going forward on my live streams or any video, any kind of video. Now, that's kind of a little example. That's not really a big deal. I'm not stressing over that. But I have seen YouTube channels like Rick Beato, for instance. He's had to hire a lawyer to come after Universal Music Group. That was actually Universal Music Group was the plaintiff, or the person who got me my claim in order, because like, no, all those country songs, they're from us. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. But Universal Music Group, or UGM, has been going hard after someone like Rick Beato, who has, I think, 5 million. Does he have 5 million? It's between 4 and 5 million subscribers, and he interviews all these people, all these producers, all these musicians, all these bands, all these people who have been in the actual music industry space. And there was one, I think it was one interview where he got 18 notifications of copyright claims within like 40 minutes or an hour. And he's gotten 2 strikes. I think he's gotten 4,000 copyright claims on his channel since the inception of his channel. Why? Because he comments on music. He does music theory, music fundamentals. He does reactions, or he explains the nature of a song, why a song works the way it works. And for that, you need audio. You need that. And then he has enough clout now on YouTube where he can travel the world and see award-winning, studios and performers and bands, like the most famous people he's listened to over the years. And that's really cool. But now someone like Universal Music Group is just going hard after his channels. If he gets the 3rd strike, his 5 million sub channel is gone. Just gone. So he's actually had to hire expensive lawyers to save his channel. And I already feel bad for him for that to happen to someone like him. But can you imagine how that would disincentivize someone like me with, 3,000 subs or whatever? It's like, well, you explained the harmonic structure of Into the West, by Annie Lennox. But you played Into the West when you shouldn't have, so we gotta put you on a copyright claim or even a strike. And then that would make me think, well, I don't want to do harmonic analysis. One reason why I haven't done harmonic analysis or any kind of musical analysis is I'm trying to find a way to circumvent that, because it's like, well, I think, who's the other guy? Charles Cornell, if you know him, he reacts. He's a keyboardist. He's a trained pianist who reacts to different songs or soundtracks from film, from video games, from something like Thomas the Tank Engine. Like he's like, wow, the theme of Thomas the Tank Engine should not have gone this hard. And he'll go into an in-depth analysis, fairly casual analysis, of what makes something like Thomas the Tank Engine so memorable. Now he plays, I don't know how he does it with his channel, but he plays the track. He plays the original soundtrack of whatever he's talking about, or the original video game soundtrack with whatever he's talking about. And I kind of wish he would do a video, like a transparent video. Like, how do you do it? Like, your channel's still up. What do you do to keep your channel rolling with all this stuff? And well, obviously he's doing fine, and people like him and his channels like him, they're probably all doing fine. But like, I really want a music, not for Sound Engraver. This will be in the works for another project. But music education is really important to me. Now, while I do give private instruction for beginning to year 2, year 3 piano, and I give private instruction for violin, I do charge for that. Part of me does, I really do want to do just a general casual music online education experience for things like fundamentals, for things like composition, theory, history, why music is so important to us, why music grabs us, what gets us going with music. I mean, there's a lot of inner workings. It's a lot of intricate things that I know like the back of my hand. I can teach music in my sleep, pretty much. And I think I can find a very presentable way of doing that. Maybe something a little bit relaxed, very casual. Part of me wants to do not reaction videos, but like listen to an audio track, or maybe watch the music page, scroll from one page to the next, or from one system to the next, and then say, oh, okay, this is what the composer is working with here. This is what the songwriter is working with here. This is what makes this little intro of this rock song so interesting. I want to do that with audio, but with YT's copyright content ID thing, it's a mess. I don't want to be at like the first video be disincentivized to share my music education knowledge. And so I have been thinking, this one reason why I got the piano is not just to practice piano. I'm doing mode mixture, guys, with flat 7, raised 6, all that good stuff. But anyway, one reason why I got the piano was to be able to teach piano lessons online eventually, but then also give musical insight. And the way you can explain music the best is with the piano. More than guitar, definitely more than violin, because violin is a monophonic instrument. It's a melodic instrument. Yes, you can do more than one note at a time, but it's not like the piano. Like the piano is a visual representation of what's going on. This is the high side, this is the low side, this is the middle. We've got register and we can visually see it. That's one reason why I got the piano, not just to practice and get better at the piano myself, but just to see if I can provide a robust music education. So I'm finding ways to circumvent the whole content ID claim in channels, where one idea is to put in the description like a video of a song that I want to explore, and then just explain what's going on just on the piano with some different software. Now this is into the future, and I think I don't think this will be in the context of Sound Engraver. I think I'll try something new into the future as a music educator. But music education is really important. I wanted to talk about copyright. Oh yeah. And so the copyright content ID thing has actually gotten really, really bad in recent years. Original artists are getting struck by presenting their original music. I saw an example of, actually it's a channel I don't know, but apparently it's a guy who works in SuperCollider, and he got a copyright claim on presenting the Bach Prelude in SuperCollider, and the algorithm, YouTube's algorithm, it didn't strike him, but he had to dispute a claim, and he what the claim presented was, oh, this is the copyright belongs to a performer, an actual pianist who performed the Bach prelude. Now, this was at a super collider. That's unless you just run an audio recording from start to finish, from the 0th frame to the end, YouTube had no grounds to make that claim. This was at the Bach prelude out of Super Collider. The Bach prelude, I think, was written in like 1720 something, maybe 1730 something, and it's in the public domain. The claim was, oh no, this is a copyright of someone's performance. Like, this is not a performance. This is no one's performance. So it's that. So it's claiming a public domain piece out of Bach, and claiming that it was someone's ownership of a person's performance of this Bach piece, when it was just super collider and numbers and slashes and values and stuff like that. And it's like, dang, that's horrible. So we've got an issue on our hands with, which really, it's unfortunate. It disincentivizes educators, especially in the music space, of wanting to present a very interesting presentation, want to give you a very interesting presentation of how a music piece works. But then the copyright is a real issue. So AI, in addition with copyright, it's a mess. It's funny. It's funny that, like, oh shoot, I glitched again. It's funny that, and well, hopefully I'm back. But what I was gonna say was, I find it funny that, or ironic rather, I find it ironic that AI users and AI platforms and AI companies have won different cases, or at least they're not losing, as far as I can see. They're not losing Supreme Court cases of copyright infringement because they claim it's fair use. And I think so far, like, I have to double check, but recently they have not, like, artists have not won certain cases against these AI companies, at least not to my knowledge. Maybe something has presented itself like the last week or so. But so AI companies are getting away with the whole fair use argument, and then someone like educating people, making people aware of certain artists and producers, or talking about a song using theory on his guitar or keyboard, he's getting struck and saying, well, this is not a fair use situation. It's like, it's a totally fair use situation. It's not transformative, but it doesn't have to be, because it's a strictly educational argument. Fair use for educational purposes. And so that, I'm not like completely discouraged. I'm not disincentivized, but I have to find a way to present certain things like that in the future, that won't get me struck, or where a person is not issuing a claim. We'll see how it goes. A claim it doesn't hurt it doesn't threaten your channel, but I think it could hurt potential views. All right. I think Samuel Proctor's referencing a song I don't know. It's probably very famous. Excuse me. Very famous song. So hot. Emil says, I just hate that this aspect of American culture, suing everyone for everything. I mean, suing, if it's legitimate, is fine. But a lot of people are just saying, nah, this, I own this. And it's like, well, this, we didn't take from you, you know? Samuel Proctor says, what's sad? I had no idea what an M dash was until the AI started overusing it, to the point that it's become a giveaway, to the point that real writers are being accused of using AI. I don't know what an M dash is. Are you talking about a long dash? So don't feel bad, because I don't know what that is. It sounds familiar, but I can't think of it right now. In response to Amiel, Ace Moic says, and people mysteriously dying if they had created something revolutionary, such as the car that runs on water, that gets it in another area. I don't know what you guys are talking about now. Yeah, sorry, Samuel Proctor. I feel like maybe Prof knows. There's a lot of stuff I don't know. Some older compositors might insist to call it the M rule. Well, let me take a look at it. Let me take a look at what M dash is, because I don't know what it is. Wow. M dash. Oh yeah, I knew what that was. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Yeah, I use that for dialogue. Yeah. Yeah, it might be an older writing style, but I use it. I hope I don't use it too frequently, but I use it for dialogue. I used to use it for thought, but I think I use the ellipses for thought now. I just feel like that's more, it looks nicer for the internal perspective. So Amiel may be confirming YouTube's algorithm is AI. This is just another proof that AI has never been used for anything other than fraud and oppression. I guess that kind of makes sense if that's true. Yeah, Ghost Planet is right. YouTube is being unfair to people when it comes to copyright. I've been I've had my own one of my music tracks. It's still on Spotify because it's not really my track. It was a collaboration for this British radio station like 5 years ago, and so they have rights to it, and that's why it was not struck, but claimed. But it was a video of the composition process before they. Well, they had mastering rights to the song, and I was like, this is not the mastered version of my music. So even my video that was the process of the composing of the piece that got claimed. So it's horrible. It's like, don't you know that I'm the real artist? Like, you see it in real time that I'm making the music. Yeah. Chris Lashes says, isn't the music industry wonderful? Yeah, they're going up in arms against AI too, and I mean, fine, do it, but they have their own problems, that is for sure. Yeah, the music industry has been exploitative and corrupt for decades. Decades. People say, I hate how people keep saying the algorithm. I'm sorry. My bad. These are not algorithms. I didn't even know algorithms was plural. An algorithm has clearly defined steps. A has no defined steps. Well, I'm sorry. I won't say algorithm anymore. I feel bad now. Crystal Ashes says, the whole suing everything and everyone is not exclusively an American thing. I've lost count how many downright ridiculous lawsuits Nintendo has dished out. Yeah, man, Crystal Ashes, you're presenting like we're almost 2 hours. This might be a longer stream. You know, I didn't realize this until like a couple years ago. I'm a retro video game player. You know, right now I'm playing Majora's Mask, which is actually I didn't realize until like a couple weeks ago. It's 25 years old. So, and I love it. And I love a lot of games that Nintendo has made, and I will never ever 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 take that away from Nintendo. But I've never called myself a Nintendo fan. And you know, the more I see what Nintendo is doing and stuff, it's like, "Oh gosh, okay." And like I was never a Nintendo fan, and I'm certainly not a Nintendo fan now that like they've got that horrible Seth Rogen design for DK. Like there was an article I read who said, "Oh, I hate the retro Donkey Kong Country manuals like where DK and Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong, they look so creepy. All these characters look creepy. And then this writer of this article was like complaining about how creepy Candy Kong is as a furry. I'm like, she's not a furry. Yeah, I know she's wearing a pink swimsuit, but she's Donkey Kong's love interest. They're both simian creatures. She's not a furry. Yeah, she's in a swimsuit, but she's not a furry. And like, oh, it was so creepy. It's so weird. And it's like they're monkeys made in 1995. Or well, not monkeys. They're both gorillas. Candy Kong is a female gorilla. Sorry, I got to cough 1 second. um Samuel Proctor brings up I may have lost my love for Filoni's Clone Wars show, but one thing that has been resurging from the show is the slur the clones used against droids, clanker. Yeah, like I'm not against I'm not against technology. I'm against what can ensue from that technology. And maybe it's true. I think we are playing with fire. I think the world is like a bunch of little kids playing with matches and they don't know how to control it. I do think we're in that space. And a lot of people are going to make maybe like everyone has different opinions. Again, I don't think AI is going to take over. Um, I just don't. Superimposing their own idea of consciousness. They're making the analog that the AI is the conscious and the subconscious and unconscious. That like the AI is the id, just like the human condition. The AI is it might work like a physical brain, maybe. I don't know. Probably not. I really don't know. But like the human psyche is so deep, and there's a lot of things that we can't prove about the human psyche. And so I will never call, I will never make the analog that the human psyche is, or the complexity of the AI is just like the human psyche. I'm like, no, I just, but I don't like what human beings are doing with AI. That I don't like. Um, oh, really? So Salmon Proctor says it's being used lots by people against AI and people who use AI. It's really, yeah, I kind of going. Come on, hide. Oops, there. I I don't see AI as an entity. I really don't. Maybe I'm being ignorant. I don't know. I'm not being willfully ignorant. I just do not see it as a sentient thing. Even if it acts or behaves in a sentient way, I still don't think there's anything to it. But it is powerful, and we don't want people with a power who abuse power to have that power. It's like AI is a weapon that the evil of humanity uses, as we see case after case. Samuel Proctor says, though technically the term was used in Republic Commander, it's just that the show popularized it. Interesting. I think I'll use it for now, you say. Nice. Thank you, Ghost Planet. You agree 100% with me. The music industry is corrupt and evil. Nintendo lawsuits have made piracy acceptable among gamers who had reservations about it. You know, I never want to do anything that's morally questionable. That's a real hard word for me to say. Um, I don't think the actions of one should allow you to do the wrong actions of another thing per se. But you know, some people do feel like they're pushed into a corner. And so you have to really be honest with yourself and like, okay, what should I not do? What are my principles? It's kind of like I've been getting into a little bit. I've been slow, and we're almost in Halloween, and so I'm losing the season. But I've been reading a book on Patrick Henry, and I've been watching Legends and Lies on Fox Nation about like the start of the American Revolution, which is always just wonderful to review. If someone were to say, okay, who are you more like, Samuel Adams or John Adams? I'm totally more like John Adams. Samuel Adams, while I appreciate his spirit to rebel, he also was a good propagandist. Like he did stuff that I'm like, okay, I do understand. Yeah, rebel against the taxation, rebel against the corruption of the monarchy and the chokehold of the British Parliament, but he did stuff that like I don't agree with. Like okay, it happened. Whereas John Adams had a lot of reservations. He even he was even an advocate, a lawyer, as acting as a lawman, an advocate for the British troops involved with the Boston Massacre. He believed justice was going to prevail no matter what I decide, even if the rebels don't like it, even if I'm looks like I'm siding with the British. And then the British uh, regiment in Boston forced his hand. Like eventually he's like, okay, now things are getting to be out of control. So where was I going with that? Forgot. Oh, where you make the point of people pirating. It's like, you know, the, I would have to be fine with my uh, conscience. Like if my conscience said at this point it's okay to do this, I would have to rely on that. Because I still don't believe in piracy. Like I know a lot of people have pirated many things, like because they don't want to support Disney, but then they watch Disney or whatever. It's like, don't do that. Don't do that. And but the thing is, that's me saying that. Like it's I don't agree with it, but like if that is your prerogative, then do that. But with Nintendo, um, don't buy new games for Nintendo. It's as simple as that. Like if you really, I'm not saying this of you, Ace, but if there are gamers out there who really have a principle against Nintendo as a company, why are you buying their games or even pirating their games? It's the whole same thing with Disney. It's like just don't involve yourself with Disney. Don't involve yourself with Nintendo. That said, I do enjoy the retro stuff. I'll always play the old games from 2000 and before. But I don't need to buy Switch 2. I don't need to buy any new games. The new Donkey Kong game, sorry. Like I don't like his new design. I really I'm not I could say this now. I'm not a Donkey Kong fan because of where Donkey Kong as a character is going. I will always be Rareware Donkey Kong fan. I'm Rareware. I am Rare. I'm Squaresoft. I'm like those are the companies I love, love, love. Uh, Speaking of which, I started getting music soundtracks together to finally do the a playlist of DKC2 for score and analysis of soundtracks for DKC2. So I started that last night because the 20th, no, the 30th anniversary is this November. So it's gonna be probably about 7 or 8 videos. So I gotta get rolling on that, do my analysis and all that. I do need to play Castlevania. I don't know if I'll play the NES version, but I definitely would do the Super Nintendo version. Yeah, Diddy Kong is the only monkey, but Dixie Kong is an orangutan. Okay, I think Dixie Kong is an orangutan. Candy Kong is probably a gorilla. Um, Funky is a gorilla. Yeah, I think they're all gorillas. I guess you could say Cranky Kong's kind of a monkey, but he was the original. I think he was the original King Kong or Donkey Kong. So we'll see. Then we're talking just like pirates. Yeah. After Chrysalasha says, after everything Nintendo's done recently, I absolutely refuse to support them these days. Yeah, I'll just stick with the older games. You know, the games I actually own. That's the thing, is you own those games. Exactly. You own those games. This is why I never really, well, it's not really the reason, but this is one reason why I wouldn't need to be on the online space for games. Prof owns all his games. Um, hey, we don't serve their kind here. You're drunk. They're gonna have to wait outside. We don't want them here. Better go outside, 3PO. SOTN. What is SOTN? It's a classic. You guys talking about? Oh, you're talking about Castlevania. Yeah. I'm really, I know the Castlevania soundtracks. I like the soundtracks. I just not I'm not familiar with the games. All right. Yeah, wow, we're over 2 hours. Interesting. It's been a weird week. It's been a weird, just a full week. Got my piano. Got my piano. I'm very happy to have this piano. Ace Moic says, I figure there are certain games they don't have digital versions available to purchase that people want to play, so I don't see the harm. If someone wants to pirate Captain Potato Salad, go ahead. They can. I won't. My conscience prohibits me from doing that. Like the thing is, like, I just don't like, and I hope I'm not looking like I'm disagreeing with you. It's just when you're against the spirit of a company, this is just like what I'm having. I'm having not. It's not a moral quandary yet, but it's like when you work for a company or you're not aligned with. It's like there's the I believe the right thing to do is just separate yourself from that. Uh, um, and people say, well, why didn't you leave your job? It's like, well, I still have my students to take care of, so I got to find a way to make sure they're okay and they get enough time to think what to do next. So yeah. Let's see. See, I didn't know this. I really don't know the Nintendo space. Yeah, Nintendo fans are complete addicts. After the Switch 2 reveal, I saw so many comments saying how they're not going to support that system. I laughed at those comments saying, "Yes, you are." Oh, that's one of the tough things to say on a YouTube comment thread. Yeah, I don't know anything about Nintendo fans. I tell you what though, if they're anything like Star Wars fans, you might have a point. People are still talking about the character Rey. And I've seen people say, "Oh man, if Kathleen Kennedy is doing a Rey trilogy, I'm definitely boycotting Star Wars." I'm like, okay, Rey is like almost 7 years old now as a character. 6, yeah, she's between 5 and 6 years old, and you're now thinking to boycott Star Wars. Like what characters have been presented since Rey? Like there have been characters like 1,000 times worse than Rey. It's like, oh no, Rey's the last straw. I'm like, yeah, she's not because you the what's the movie called? The Rise of Skywalker. That's like, isn't that 6 years old now? And you're still watching Star Wars? We stopped and we're happier for it. Oh, I'm definitely boycotting Star Wars. I'm definitely boycotting Disney if they do a Rey movie. There've been way worse things than Rey in recent Star Wars. I don't know anything about Assassin's Creed. I'm sorry, Private Eye. Let's see. Yeah, Symphony of the Night is a great jumping on point for new players. Yeah, I might consider that. Yeah, it's good soundtrack for that's for sure. Yeah, it's turned into a video game discussion, and I'm a retro player, but there's still a lot of retro stuff I don't know. I don't know Mega Man. I don't know Castlevania. There's a lot of retro games I don't know. All right. Is it a huge success? I heard bad stuff about it. Huh. Anyway, that's a really good point, Ace. What Star Wars has become reinforced the ultimate lesson George always conveyed in the movies Let Go. Oh my. Oh man, I've got. Oh, time is it, man? Oh, it's 8 o'clock. Wow, jeez. You know, uh, I won't get into. Should I get into it today? RJ made a pretty interesting video yesterday. RJ from the Fourth Age, and I won't talk about it now because I don't really have the brain power to. I'm kind of getting a little tired from all the chatting. But yeah, let go. I mean, that's the theme of Star Wars. You know, you become Anakin Skywalker and ultimately Darth Vader because you didn't let go. And yes, I know. The real lesson to learn is from Luke Skywalker, but man, I really feel bad for Star Wars fans because I really do love Star Wars. I really do love Star Wars as an IP and as a world. And I love the characters and I love many different stories. But it's kind of like if Stargate, because I really, really loved Stargate. If it ever became, I wasn't crazy about how it ended because Stargate Atlantis does end a little incomplete, but I'm satisfied. Like they, but if that franchise went off the cliff, well, apparently it did with SGU, which I haven't seen or won't see, then I wouldn't keep watching it. I would just say, no, I got the old stuff. I got the first 10 seasons with Manning and Richard Dean Anderson and all the actors and actresses there. Then you got Stargate Atlantis for what we had with that. If it ever went downhill like Star Wars has, well, and actually apparently there was a real fan uprising against SGU, and I see a lot of comments like, I hate SGU, I hate what they did. So there's a lot of backlash, and then they stopped. I wouldn't support Stargate anymore if it wasn't what it was with the original two shows, and I don't, and I'm fine with that as a fan of Stargate, and I'm fine with that as a fan of Star Wars. I don't need more Star Wars. No, you're not a real fan unless you had Star Wars, new Star Wars all the time. And it's like, you guys are sad. I'm a Star Wars fan, and I will say, Star Wars fans are a sad bunch of people. I have never seen so desperate of people as I have with Star Wars fans. All right. Uh, oh, it was a financial success, but the reception to it was poor. I see. Yeah, I should probably look into that. I'm fine with uh uh I'm fine with the first Switch. And I don't even play all the games on it. I just play the Zelda and Mario, and I think that's it. Oh, Luigi's Mansion. I will play that. Oh, not Thousand Year Door, but the original Paper Mario game. That's fun. I only play like 4 games of the whole catalog. In fact, I wish you could delete all the other games, but you can't. All right. Yeah. Find other media, other things to do. Not be so desperate. There's the EU. There are great stories in the EU. There are so-so stories in the EU, but it's a world to explore. After the American literature that I'm reading currently, I think I will. I think I'm gonna read a little more Solomon Kane. I'll watch a couple Universal Monster movies and then read. I'm gonna go through Solomon Kane. Those stories are very interesting. I've read a few of them, and they're very interesting. Well, the internet looks like it's a little low, and it's been really long, so it's been a really long stream. I didn't mean to talk so much, guys. I hope I made sense. All those 2 hours and 14 so minutes. Oh! I will say with Shatterpoint, it starts out slow, but it does get. I like it. I like Shatterpoint as one of my go-to EU novels. It does start out really slow. At first, I thought I wouldn't like it, but it does get good. So yeah, I do recommend that as an EU. All right, go to Pulp Stories. I will. I will. Yeah, Solomon Kane is an interesting character. All right, let's leave it at that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and in spite of the glitches, but until I see you next, keep producing, preserving, and promoting that good art you love, and I will catch you later.